Okay, hey folks. So today I'm here with Dr. Faizah Carr of Connoisseurs Club. Welcome, Faizah.
Yes, thank you. I am so excited to be on the spotlight, DMV.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you here, and I'm excited to talk about Connoisseurs Club and just about you in general. So yeah, let's get started.
Do it.
So first, I want you to tell us a little bit about Connoisseurs Club and what it is.
Okay. Connoisseurs Club is a wine club that I started in 2011. And it came about from just talking to some friends. And I'm sure you remember the show Scandal.
Yes.
And when it was at its height, I noticed a lot of friends on my Facebook timeline scroll, they're getting their glass of wine because the main character would get a glass of wine to unwind after work. And there would always be talk about her glasses, the wine glasses, and the red wine that she was drinking. So I started gathering up a couple of those friends that were watching this show at that time and started emailing them and finding out if they would like to join a wine club and what they thought about it. I got great responses and started a little Evite at the time with everyone's email. And I had the first one here at my house. It was about 30 people.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was way more people than I expected, but I had put some things together. I've done a couple of other nonprofit organizations, event planning. So I had a little folder for each person that gave them definitions for different wine terms from A to Z. It welcomed them to the club. And we had just a great discussion. And from there, I kind of created a strategy to start hosting them at different people's houses, different members' houses, and just self-educating ourselves about the wine and what it paired with. So the first one, I definitely remember this, it was Riesling, because at the time I was very interested in Riesling. And so I looked at what it paired with, and I cooked hors d'oeuvres and food that kind of went with that. And we learned about the foods that paired with it and talked about it. We didn't know a whole lot, but it took off from there.
So I want to ask some questions about what you just said. So first, I remember Olivia with her wine glass. And Scandal was really such a big influence on us. And, she had that vibe about her. And she was just very, what's the word? She was a classy lady, right? She was so classy. And so do you think that you had the interest more due to the wine or due to the show?
More due to the wine. So the conversation started, when I started thinking about doing the wine club, it really didn't have anything to do with the show, but I was noticing a common theme when people were talking about wine, showing their wine glasses. So it started from there about who should I target. Of course, I could have just started with close friends, but I wanted people who were interested in wines and to what extent and what they knew about it at the time. So that's the show just kind of led me to who would be interested.
Yeah, I think that is so awesome and then you said that Riesling was a big interest at that time. And I do remember Riesling being a big thing back around that time. And I was drinking it as well. I loved me some Riesling. But I just think it's so amazing how we're all now not all of us, but a lot of us have become wine enthusiasts, and we're interested in educating ourselves further about it. And so I saw I heard that was a part of what you said, that you collected a folder with information. So is that a big part of Connoisseurs Club as well?
Yes,
education.
The education. So the person who hosted would learn all about it and basically give a presentation at each member's home. They would tell us about what it paired with, where it came from, all the things you would learn in a wine education class or read in a book. There's a bunch of different books that I've been looking into because I've actually been getting re-engaged with it, especially due to COVID. not only re-engage, but looking to change how we interact.
Gotcha. And so I remember going to having a tasting and pairing dinner. And it was, I can't remember the name of the restaurant. It's over by Union Market, but we had a sommelier and he told us about all the different pairings and what we should be tasting and that type of thing. And so I just remember having this big conversation with him. Like we talked for like 20 minutes. We talked for like 20 minutes about his tasting, right? And how you know what you're tasting and how do you know if what you're tasting is even correct, right? Yeah. Because it's like you'll read this bottle and it'll say, notes of peach and almonds and whatever. And so I'm like, well, what if you taste this and you don't taste that? Like, who's right? Are they right or are you? So it's like this whole philosophical question about the tasting and what you're tasting and the different flavors.
Right. And taste buds, they're so particular, just like our eyesight or what we smell. People smell different things. They have different types of taste buds or intensity. And that's one of the things I've recently been learning is how you pull out the appearance, the nose of the wine, how you smell it, how you get the best smell from your glass, what you're tasting, being able to identify it. And really the best way to learn about wine is to drink it.
Yeah.
Drink it, talk about it, share it. So I think it's always a great social thing where you get to sit with people and talk about different wines that you like. And that is the gamble, right? You hope that the vintage or where it's coming from is that year. You hope that it was a good crop. But, and that's basically sometimes what we pay for, the brand, what the crop it's coming from, where it's coming from, and the consistency of that wine, knowing what it's going to taste like every year. Sometimes you definitely open a bottle and it's not what you expect. It's not what you taste, and it does not pair well with maybe anything, or it doesn't taste well by itself, or it tastes great with food. So it's really just one of those things. You kind of see what you like.
Yeah, I did go to a focus group for a small wine brand. And that was some of the stuff that I learned. They talked about like the tanning and all that kind of stuff. And it was just things that, I never thought about and I never even knew existed, right? And so that's what I think is also great about Connoisseurs Club, that you get that type of education and you guys are just having that level of discussion. Almost like a book club, it's the wine club and you get together. It kind of
reminds me of a book club. It does. We definitely I try to make it more inclusive of things that are going on in the community. I mean, the DMV is a great place because we have the Chesapeake Bay Wine Trail. We have a lot of vineyards in Maryland and in Virginia that we can visit. And it is a great area. I'm from Los Angeles, California, so I definitely have a large amount of wineries there, wine country there. But it's interesting seeing the one here and being exposed to the different wine bars, wineries, vineyards in this area.
So before you started Connoisseurs Club, were you already into wines and pretty knowledgeable about wine?
No, I was not knowledgeable about wines, and that's why I wanted to start it. I think at that age, it was like the height of my dating. I was going on dates, and I wanted to be able to pair the different foods and the restaurants that I was going to, choose a good wine. You always have the sommelier there, but I wanted to have a little bit more experience when I sat down.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that also helps, just knowing beforehand, not just letting my date order.
Well, I also find too that you're pretty knowledgeable about cocktails as well, about liquors and spirits and that type of thing. Because recently you and I were together and we were talking about gin, and I was like, I don't really like gin that much. You're like, no, I have to fix this drink for you. And so even though you were not able to fix the drink you were speaking of, you fixed something else for me that, you had ingredients there. And I was like, hey, this actually tastes pretty good.
My interest in different spirits is just a thought. I think it's the same way I think about recipes. I picture recipes, I picture the colors that I'm going to use. And I really am not a gin fan, but sometimes I would go to bars or speakeasies and there would be an elixir there that someone would have made, mixologist, I believe they're called, and it would be great. So I don't know if before I was drinking rail gin or what, but it was disgusting to me. But then I've had really, really good drinks. And so I wanted to curate my own drinks, and that's what I've started doing, just putting things together. So yeah, drinks for friends.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what we talked about when we talked about the gin, and I was like, maybe I was drinking, because I had stopped drinking it years ago, and I'm pretty sure it was because it was rail. And so I had that tasting of it, and I was just like, no, it's disgusting, never again. And then I also saw someone else saying that they were making a cocktail for their family, and that you gave them tips about, certain things and garnishes, like soaking their lemons in bourbon, I think it was, or something like that.
Oh yes, I think somebody else talked about that, but I love infusing different fruits and using it in the drinks. Love it. I think
yeah. She said that you gave her the tip. That's what it was. She said you gave her that tip.
Oh, that's right. She learned it from an iced tea drink. I have some. I'm not a chef, but I have certain specialties, and I love this peach iced tea. I use a regular iced tea mix, but I do get the peaches and I soak them in there. And you definitely can't drink it after like 3 days because I think the fruit spoils. But definitely that first day, second day, it is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you invited me over for some of your cocktails, so I'm ready. I'm ready when you're ready.
Those for you, I still do. I've been doing Connoisseurs Club for 10 years now. I'm constantly looking for ways to educate myself on things that I don't know. So I've been more interested in taking different classes and learning about sommeliers, the different type of education that they take. And I've just been learning a lot. Like 1% of wine vineyards around in the US are Black owned.
Oh, so wow.
Just 1%. And then 10% of US, American wine drinkers are also Black. So it's not a lot of us that are into wine drinking. It kind of seems like it, or maybe it seems like my circle is, but there's not a lot of diversity and inclusion in wine education and just the business and industry of wine.
So I went to this a small winery in the area, and we went on a tour, and they tour you around and show you the equipment and how they distill, and I don't know if that's the right word, but how they make the wine and the grapes and all of that.
Right.
So the gentleman that was giving us the tour, he was talking about he was kind of talking about how some of maybe the introductory wines that people would begin to buy, like the lower price points and whatnot. And he kind of talked about how they were he talked from a purist perspective, right? So he was saying how they don't let the grapes do what they're supposed to do. They force the grapes to be what they need it to be. So, they kind of just use all kinds of chemicals to get it to do what they need it to do and be a consistent taste. But then he kind of made a comment that it was about race. Like, I was like, well, I'm not understanding why. And so what you're saying about diversity and inclusion and whatnot, it's kind of, when I go to all these different tours, all the different wineries I've been to in the area, I have not seen that much diversity. So you're correct about that, as far as the people that work there, the people that own it, the people that run it. But I have seen more and more that the customers are lots of women, lots of Black women that are attending. And I know that it's because of clubs like yours that are here to educate us and to put events together, to invite us out and just talk about it and learn about it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of wine education out there. I believe, I don't want to say there's one reason, there's probably multiple reasons why Black people have started having a greater interest, but some of it is this diversity and inclusion that we've been talking about. I know with a lot of the social issues that have been going on, especially in the last 2 years, I'll say 2 to 3 years, of course it's been going on longer than that, but we've had a big resurgence of buying Black owned and paying attention to our Black owned everything, our Black owned wineries, brands, everything that you can buy and kind of invest in. And there's a lot going on out there, actually all up and down the seaboard, from New York, Maryland, different places. I've learned about the Roots Fund and the U Society and different collaborations that have been happening. And it's going to be a great, maybe a renaissance, but yeah. I hope it will be. I know there's a lot of good books. I just learned about a book today that was released, Terroir Noir, by Dr. I do not want to get her name wrong, but I don't want to give the wrong name, but that book is out there talking about the investment in the wine business and what Black people are doing and the types of groups that they are creating and where the industry is going and where it can go. And I think it's an exciting time right now.
I agree. And then there also, I've also seen a lot of breweries by minorities and Black people up and coming too. And yeah. I just think it's, like you're saying, it's a renaissance. It is. And I see it very clearly. And it feels good to be able to support these brands. And, you know, I know that there's the, what was it, blackgirlmagic wine.
Yes, Magic was big. We actually my wine club did a virtual wine club in 2020 when COVID was going on. Very excited. And they've been around for a while, but I think with fame or when you're trying to put your business out there, sometimes it takes a little while to take off. And it really took off in 2020. And we not only tasted blackgirlmagic, because I think there's 3 in that line, but in their brand, they have the McBride sisters line. Yes. And I actually know that my favorite is their rosé, the McBride sisters rosé, sparkling rosé.
Yeah, and then from the area too, you know, Marcus Johnson, Kelly's brother, he has his Flow wine. And also, yeah, and then also, you know, on U Street, bin 301. It's bin 301, right? Yes. Bin 1301. Yes, that's what it is on U Street. And that's a Black-owned wine bar as well. So yeah, we're taking a big interest in it.
I think it has the potential to go upwards. I definitely want to get more people in my wine club interested in different types of wine education. Mm-hmm. I've been doing my own in the last year, and I think it would be great for people to be a part of and learn what's out there. There's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, of course, pre-COVID, City Winery would have, I don't remember what they called it, but they would have an event where it was a musician and then they'd have wine. They play like music from that musician and then they'd have wine for you to taste to kind of go along with the vibe of the musician. And I never went to one of those events, but it seemed pretty cool though. I think you guys did like the Michael Jackson one, right? Like Connoisseurs Club did a Michael Jackson tasting at City Winery.
I don't think so. Not Michael Jackson, but there was some event there like that. And we actually did go to City Winery at one point, and I think we did a tour of their winery, looked at their distillery and how they processed and their wine barrels. So we did that one time. I think it was an anniversary event, but not there was no music that day.
Oh, okay. No music that day. Yeah. Well, I just hope that, you know, I know the world is opening back up and I see people are coming out more and more. And I know the outside events have been like the outside visits to wineries and whatnot. The people are really enjoying it and taking advantage, as we should. It's beautiful weather and it's time to be out, be together. So
it is. So that's a little different. I think in the past I've not had a lot of success in the summer because a lot of people, probably our age range, people were getting married, having kids, also traveling a lot in the summer. And I think this summer is a little different because people are traveling a lot less. So I've been able to put the club out there a little bit more and invite people to these wine club field trips that we've been having. And it has been a lot of fun to experience what these wineries are putting together. I think they're putting together different types of tastings and experiences for people that they didn't have to before as well.
Yeah, I agree. So I know that in June, we did Fleetwood Farm That was out in Leesburg, right?
Yes, Leesburg. I think it was Leesburg or Loudoun County. Leesburg, yes.
Yeah. That one was pretty nice. I really enjoyed our time there. Yeah. And you had a big number of women attend. It was a large number of women, and I was just so happy to see all of us, fellowshipping together. It was a great time, and I met new women, and just we chatted it up like old friends.
It's a great group, and I'm glad that they have been rocking with me for so long. And I'm always trying to think of new experiences, new wine experiences, new luxury experiences, places that are here that we might have overlooked, or things that are new that are popping up. There are always new things popping up in the DMV. Some of these wineries are not, but definitely putting together these luxury experiences for us in our free time as our outlet.
Well, speaking of luxury experiences, I know that you are an avid movie watcher. And you had where you would what was it called? Luxury car?
Yes. Luxury car, because I love everything vintage Hollywood, Hollywood, the glamour. I love the red carpet. I love the award shows. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of diversity in that either. Mm-hmm. So, I think I had dual feelings about it. I enjoyed it, but I also wanted to see people who are Black and brown, not only on the television and in cinema, but also being recognized for their work. And, I think it was a disappointment a lot of times watching it, but I still enjoy the entire glamour of it.
Yeah, I remember you used to put in a lot of thought to the comments you would make. I mean, basically you were blogging, right, about the different award shows, and you were just very thorough with it. And I always enjoyed reading what you wrote. And that's just how your mind works, though, because I know you're very detailed and you pick up a lot of information and that type of thing. Like, I think that's how you and I became friends, because we kind of, we like to ask the questions, right?
And I think you can relate. So thank you for telling me that about the blog. Sometimes when you write and you have these passions, or you're doing things for an audience, sometimes you're not necessarily sure, like, who's reading this? Are they reading it? Are they paying attention? Do they also like award shows? For me, so I definitely love the feedback and talking to people about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch award shows, but I would read your blogs because it's a story, right? I could read it and then you'd have like a picture of the outfit or whatever. And I'm like, wow, I could see this. I could see that this is what happened. So yes, you did a great job with that. So what do you have coming for us next with Connoisseurs Club?
Well, we are going to be doing an event in a couple of weeks. In August, we're going to go to a Maryland winery. It's called Running Hair, that I learned about from a fellow connoisseur. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about it. Right in our own backyard, they call themselves like a mini Tuscany, and the grounds look great. They have a great outdoor area with umbrellas and a couple of other things. I believe they have wine slushies and a mimosa bar on Sundays. So we're going to try that out. Go down, I think it's a little bit past Waldorf. Have you been?
Yeah, I've been a few times. I really enjoy it out there. It's a very nice vibe, and they have like this playlist they have this 80s playlist. And so, you start hearing Cyndi Lauper and things like that. We're in there singing. We're singing. We're like, we know all these songs. I kind of miss.
Never go wrong with 80s music.
Yeah. That's why I talk about that all the time. I'm like, we knew all the music back in the 80s because everything was a little more. It wasn't as segregated music-wise on the radio stations and that type of thing. So, we knew all the different songs. But yes, it's a nice vibe out there. I really like it, and the slushies are. So that's going to be a good time. That's on August 15th. And so give us your social media handles.
On Facebook, it is Connoisseurs Club. We have about maybe 165 people in there. It's kind of, I think I told you, it started very small. So we try to keep it private, friends of friends. But Instagram's wide open, and it's wine_connoisseurs_club. And I couldn't use Connoisseurs Club on Instagram because the term just connoisseurs refers to THC, refers to weed more.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to put wine in front of it, even though I've had it for about 3 or 4 years. So
yeah.
wine_connoisseurs_club.
Okay, perfect. And before we go, I forgot to mention the movie Cork, because that was such a big hit when it came out on Netflix. And we cannot not talk about it, you being a movie enthusiast plus a wine enthusiast. Plus it was a Black movie.
Yes, it came out in 2020, right?
I think it did. I feel like it was recently. If it wasn't 2020, it was 2019, but I feel like it was 2020. Yeah.
What did you think about the movie? Oh.
Well, I loved it. So like I had mentioned, we went to that restaurant and did the pairing menu. And so I was just really, really interested in that job, in that role at that time, right? And I had all kinds of questions like, how does one become, how does
sommelier?
Yeah, how does one become a sommelier? Yes. And where do you go to school for that? Like, how do you grow the taste buds to do it? And when that movie came out, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is like being inserted into an education I would have never been able to have, right? So I loved it. And you
learn how competitive it is. It's very competitive. Yes. It's very intense. I love that they show the main character traveling. There's a lot of people who do wine classes in France or in Italy. They have definitely wine universities in different places. So I like the process and learning about the process, because I don't know anyone personally who's gone through the process. I know at the time that movie might have given me the motivation to look up the number of sommeliers in the US. I believe there are 267 or 287, and I found out that 3 of them were Black.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I've enjoyed finding them on Instagram and following them and finding out some of the organizations and that they're a part of, or that they run, or books that they've written. So.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for talking to me. And I wish you much success with Connoisseurs Club. And I cannot wait to see you on August 15th at Running Here.
Yes, and there'll be new and upcoming things coming up on the Instagram.
Yes, I already follow you, so I'll get all of that.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Love you, girl.
Love you too. Bye.